Hello, dear friends, dear colleagues. If you can hear me, can you please put a plus in the chat box? Well, at least one person can hear me well. Thank you so much. I'm really excited to see so many interested teachers. I would like to introduce myself first. My name is Anželika Vladыko, and I'm a Cambridge assessment presenter and also a teacher of English as a foreign language. I've been teaching for a long time and have been enjoying it. And I've taught different age groups. I've had experience of teaching through Google Classroom, and I'm excited to have this opportunity to share my experience because I do think it's an easy and effective way to teach distantly. Well, I will try to keep a watchful eye on the box with the questions. So if you have a question throughout the seminar or webinar, please don't hesitate to type in your question. In case I miss your question, please don't hesitate to ask it again. First, I'd like to ask you some questions, if you don't mind, of course. Which is the most popular app or platform for you and your students? Can you please type in your chat boxes? Quizlet, Kahoot, Skype. That's interesting. Zoom is becoming very popular. I can see Skype as well. Zoom and Quizlet. Great. With my students, with the fifth formers, Kahoot has been the favorite. Thank you so much. Well, now a question for you personally. If you could use one adjective to describe your inner state in the face of this necessity to conduct lessons distantly, which adjective would it be? All the options are really curious. Yeah, that's truly more time consuming. Do I understand it right that we have a more negative attitude? Some people are really excited, and I can understand both approaches. Thank you so much. If you ask me, I would say I feel like Alice in Wonderland, curiouser and curiouser. I truly like the opportunity to learn something new and to grow professionally. And I think it's great that we have such wonderful access to so many resources and nice guidance, so we could make it less painful and more friendly for a teacher. Thank you. So by the end of this webinar, I hope that maybe I will help you a little to cope with your puzzlement and worries. Well, what do you think are the greatest challenges right now for you? Is it lack of simplicity or simple guidance, or is it lack of good or proper equipment, or both maybe? Both. Lack of experience, both. Well, more or less the same, and time consuming and everything. Well, I think we have to prepare, that we have to dedicate some time, that is for sure. But we can make it a little more exciting. So, we're going to speak about Google Classroom as an easy and effective way to teach distantly. I would really like it for you to feel more excited by the end of the seminar. And let me put it this way. I have been working with Google Classroom for several years. Of course, it has been an integrative part of the teaching and learning process, in addition to regular classes, which I delivered in person in the classroom. So right now, I also have to adjust and be flexible, and also spend time on using it a little different way. So, the aims of today's webinar are to discuss the benefits of Google Classroom in 3 areas: in developing language skills, in providing assessment, and delivery of feedback. We will also learn how to create a course and assignments. So first of all, what are the benefits of Google Classroom? In the first place, we are aiming at creating an autonomous learner, and it gives all the opportunities for students' autonomy. It's not like Skype or Zoom, which are also wonderful platforms to use at the current time. But the benefit of this platform is that it gives a chance for each student to move at their personal pace, and they can get into the classroom at the time that is most comfortable for them. There are a great variety of assignments that we can post, and a lot of attachments, and we will see later what we can do with that. It provides flexibility and differentiation. We'll also see practically how you can do it. You can assign tasks for all students at the same time, or you can choose the students and give them individual tasks, or you can vary the difficulty for different groups of students. You can also let your students collaborate and expose students to a lot of target culture by providing a lot of videos and texts for them to read and audios to listen to. When students take time and move at their own pace, return to the tasks that they have done, and can redo these tasks again, this builds confidence in them. And the more confident the students are, they feel more motivated. Do we have any questions so far? We'll also discuss the benefits of providing assessment. There are variations in providing assessment, and we will talk about it too. And also a very important thing, giving feedback to students, as well as getting feedback from them. So let's have a look at practically how you can start working with this platform and what you need to do. We'll take step by step, and if you have questions, please feel free to ask me. I think you will have a presentation later, and you can follow the steps, taking your time and just practicing yourself how it works. So you can start using this platform by going to google.com, or you may just use your email account. You have to have the email account on a gmail.com or any Google account to get in there. This is the view of my box from the inside. I mean the mailbox. And in the right upper corner, you have a square of dots. Let me specify this. Look at the arrow. Here we have it. So if you click with the mouse, you can see a range of things that you can click on. And what we need here is the icon saying class. So you need to click this one. If you have not been registered in Google Classroom, then you will see this field, and you will be suggested 2 ideas. Look here. You can click the plus, and you are suggested that you join someone else's course, or you create your own course. Well, I have planned the course that you can create. So let's see what you can do after that. After that, you need to just think of a good name for your course. I like thinking of something inspiring for my students, like English Zone or High Five with the 9th formers this year, for example. It can be just anything. It can be a course for your regular class, or it can be a course aimed at developing language skills for exams. And these may be any exams, Cambridge exams or our national exams. After you have created typed in the name of the course, it opens up. Here you can see my page, and I have created a lot of courses. So you can see one course for one icon for each course that I have created. You will have just one, and then you can create as many as you want to just by clicking the plus button and creating a new course, or joining your colleagues' courses, etc. So once we have created the course and entered inside just by clicking it, you can see the code here. There are 2 ways for you to reach your students. You can send them this code, or you can just attach them to the course through typing in their emails. If you pay attention to the bookmarks on top, you can see that they say stream, assignments, people or users, and marks. So we need to go to this bookmark which says users. Here you can see 2 options, and you can use both of them. First of all, you are interested in inviting students by clicking this icon. You can add the email, and the invitation will be sent directly to their email boxes. I hope we'll be helped, and the image will return. Please don't worry. Can you see the image now? Can you hear me? Good. Try to refresh the page. Good. Very good. So you add the participants, your students, and the invitation is sent to straight to their mailboxes. And there's also an option where you can invite your colleagues to join your course. You can upload the materials together, or you can use each other's materials. I think it's a great way to collaborate and to make this time when we have to prepare all these distance lessons less consuming, less time consuming, if we join our efforts. After we have invited our students, we move to creating the tasks. It's very simple, and the only thing you have to do is to go to the second bookmark, the assignments, and you will see a button saying create. You can create a very simple task. You can create a task and questions. You can create a task with the test. I will explain how I do the tests and the quizzes. We will do everything separately, step by step. I would like to tell you, if you don't see the picture, but you can hear me, please don't worry, because there will be a recording and you will get the presentation, and it has a very detailed instruction on how to do it. If you have questions on Google Classroom, you will also have my email, and you can write any questions, and I will help you, because I have rich experience, and I will be able to open up access to the courses that I have created and have used with the students. We don't want to create more stress for you. Can we see now, or are we still having no picture? Someone sees the picture and someone's not. Well, I'm really sorry. I'm a visual, you know, so I would really love for you to see the picture and to see the instructions. Good. I see some pluses. Please try to renew the page. Good, at least you hear me. Good. All right. Thank you for your support. It means much to me too. That's my second experience with the webinar, and trust me, it's a very unusual feeling. It's like almost like being in open space, because now when you don't see the picture, you can probably understand me. I do not see you. I only see my picture, and that's all. But I can see you saying the things. So, all right. So let's move on. Hopefully, I will inspire you by my voice. Okay. So this is basically how the instruction field looks like. So you just write the instructions. They can be very basic if your students like very short instructions. And my advice would be to make instructions very short and very clear. I normally start with greeting my students and motivating them about the task that I'm leaving for them. And then I write down, please follow these instructions. And I put like number 1, number 2, number 3. Number 1, watch the short video. Number 2, go to the quiz, answer the questions, or listen to the instructions in the videos, and follow the instructions and make something with your hands. I will speak about more practical things a little later. Now we need to understand just the steps that we have to follow. So you can see that instructions are not necessary, but I would really recommend to give instructions to our learners. It's just like instructions are very important for us. They are no less important for our learners. You can also see the attachment area. You can attach something, and there's a wide variety of what you can attach. It can be any link to a website. It can be a link to a game. It can be a link to a YouTube channel, to the audio, and the PowerPoint presentation, the Word file, all kinds of files. It depends. If you feel that your students will understand the instructions better in Russian, then you can do it. I always leave instructions for my learners in English, but again, I have used Google Classroom as part of the curriculum, and I saw them 5 times a week, and before the distance lesson that they had over the weekend, I discussed the things with them, and they more or less knew what they were expected to do. I don't think there is a rule. Thank you very much for your support, Anna. Thank you so much. So you choose which works best for you and your students. It's not that we are testing something. We are giving a tool for our learners to explore and experiment, and we experiment as well. We are also prone to making mistakes, and sometimes we may give the task that is a little too challenging or a little too simple. So we just try, and that's how we learn. And students are always understanding. So if they do not understand something, they may ask questions. So it should be comfortable both for you and your students. On the right, that is the same page. It's just that I have cut the page a little smaller so you could see the things better. On the right of the page, you can see the options. Here it says all students. Remember, I was saying that you can differentiate. If you want the task for all students, then you click the button, or you just leave it as it is, and then you have a list of students. You see the ticks in front of all the students. If you don't want to give that to all the students, you can just untick some of the students and leave only those students you want to give the task to. There's another wonderful thing. You can set the due time, and even the due date and the due time. You can discuss it with your students. If they need more time, you can allow that. It's very flexible. You can change it, or you can set it and encourage your students to give in the task on time, or that is not an obligatory option. So you may not even set the times if you don't want to. There's also a wonderful option here, the criteria for the mark, but it normally goes along with the test if you create the assignment with the test. I personally don't like this idea of creating an assignment with the test, because basically it will include mostly the closed questions. And I don't know how interesting it will be for you to check just very simple yes/no questions, or even if it is a one answer from a multiple choice task. The student sends the form with this test, and they may see the results. It's easy to copy these results, and the student doesn't have a motivation to do it again because they already see all the results. I like it more when we have open question tasks, and I focus more on the thoughts that stand behind what the student types in. And sometimes it is much more important, in most cases, it is much more important for me than the accuracy. The accuracy is important when we focus on something, like if we are practicing some grammatical thing or some vocabulary. I want them to type in the spelling correctly, or to practice full sentences, and if it is past simple, I want them to use the past simple verbs correctly. But in most cases, that is something that helps them experiment with the language, and that is something that makes my job as an assessor or as a monitor enjoy the job, because I can peek behind the students' personalities and learn more about them. And that is when they use the language as a tool of expressing what they have, what thoughts they have, and just that's what makes it amazing. And that's the reason why we teach them English. We want them to communicate their ideas and their thoughts using it. After we have created the task, the assignment, we press some certain button to upload, and then in the stream we can see that the user has added the assignment, and that's the time when students get the task in their mailboxes. If you have an agreed time, like every Saturday at 9 o'clock, you will have the a new assignment. Students may go and check through their mailboxes into the Google Classroom, or they can just check their mail and use the link and get to the assignment that you have created. Do we have questions? Let me have a look. To have an account, yes. The question is it necessary for a student to have an account in Gmail? It is important for the student to have the account, a Google account, because that is the platform supported by Google services, and it just makes it easier for you and the students to use all these. Well, as for grading criteria option, you know, I'm not sure if it's not available now. We have, you know, we have an extraordinary situation in the world, and many opportunities open up. So we have to check. I cannot check because I do have this option, because we do use the Google Classroom at our school. The students just need the account, a mail address that will have the gmail.com, and they can get to Google Classroom easily. They do not create anything. They just, well, in the first place, when you send the first invitation to the course, your students have to accept the invitation. So once they have accepted the invitation, they will have they will have the course shown in their Google Classroom. Because if they do not accept the invitation, they won't be able to do the tasks. This all works free. You can try. If you have a gmail.com account, you can create a course and you can invite your students if they also have these. How to join all the students into one group? We'll have to go back to several steps. You go to the users. You see, you go to this step. That is the initial step. You go to users, and here it says students, and here's the icon, a student. So you click this icon, and you will have a box where you type in the email address. You type it in, you put enter, and the invitation is sent to your student through mailbox. Then you click it again and you type in the next student's email address, as many as you need to. Everybody should have a Google account, yes, but that is very easy to create one. I remember I once created with my students just because it was easier for us to do the projects, international projects. And an amazing thing is they left school 5 years ago and they're still using their Gmail accounts, and that's nice, and I can still reach them. So if we do not have any other questions on this, we can proceed further. Please let me know if you are ready to proceed. Good. Thank you so much. So speaking about Google Classroom, I'm really excited, and I should say that I would say there are three whales that Google Classroom is based on, and these are developing language skills, providing assessment, and delivering feedback. These are very important things in language teaching and language learning. And I suggest that we have a look at each bulletin point in more detail. So the language skills that we are teaching are listening, reading, writing, and speaking. And all of them can be covered in Google Classroom. Despite your hesitation or thoughts of how these might be done, because there are a lot of resources that we can use and a lot of ways how we can practice these things. So what can we do? There are a lot of materials, a lot of activities. If you go to our major site, cambridgeenglish.org, you can find a lot of free activities for young learners, and not only, actually for learners of different level. And they include not only listening and reading activities, they are also writing practice activities, as well as speaking ones. If we, for example, take young learners, I think that it is probably easier with senior students. If you have questions, you will ask me. Julia, it should be a Gmail account. If you mean Mail.ru account, it won't work, I'm afraid. So with younger learners, they might try playing a game, focusing on some area of language, and by the end they finish it, they can make a print screenshot and send it to you, because the students can attach as many files as they need or as the teacher requests in the assignment. For older students, there are also different options, including not only language skills, but also language and vocabulary areas. You can use the songs and just podcasts and all kinds of things. Another good resource for the teachers, where there's the material for using in class, including the distance class, and that is Cambridge English on a Facebook. Great lessons, very short videos that will have that will let you make the lesson more exciting, and they also provide lesson plans, so you can spend less time developing the quizzes, for example, for the students, or creating some other tasks. A wonderful resource is Cambridge English TV, where there are a lot of idioms, and you can let the students not only be familiar with the idioms, but also get the explanation of its true meaning, and see how this or that idiom may be used in real life situations. They are really nice, very short, like 58 seconds, like 1 minute. And you can let them see several idioms, short videos with idioms, or just any grammar aspect. There are also very nice short videos, the tips for reading and for speaking from the experts from Cambridge, and they are in a fun way, and students may enjoy them, and they may work with them later. They can collaborate, work in Google services, and use mutual PowerPoint presentations there, or work in Word Google format. The question, is it on YouTube? If you ask about Cambridge English TV, yes, it is on a YouTube. The question is, what about school program, the objectives of the lesson? Yes, this is just an example, and you may as well follow the school program, because the basic approach is that you are using the materials, and the idea of creating the quizzes and the feedback forms, I will show you later. I'm just showing you the resources that can help you develop language skills in addition to your school programs. You know, actually, the topics we cover in our school curriculums, we all use different students' books, right? Different courses. Well, at least until recently, we have used different courses, different schools, different courses, or different materials. What makes these resources appealing is that they take very little time, from 1 minute or even under 1 minute to maybe 2 or 3 minutes maximum, and it can be like the icing on the cake. because well, actually, I have prepared something to say by the end of the webinar, but I have to maybe attract your attention to the importance of seeing this procedure of learning the language, or of just learning about and studying from the learner's point of view. You know, once we were in the regular classroom, we used a lot of technology, or at least we wanted to use more technology in the classroom because it makes it so exciting. And now we have such an abundance of resources that we have to be very careful about the things, because the student we have to preserve the health of our learners. So using short candies, small candies, short videos or something to motivate them do more from their students' books or workbooks can be really significant. Here I have included some practical materials that we might use. I would like you to see the attachments. This is just one example. It can be anything. Like, for example, in our school curriculum, we do have the topic music. Please correct me if I'm mistaken. I will speak about PowerPoint presentations just a little later. The attachments may be different. You can use the attachment of the audio that is supporting your materials, your school curriculum, or you can use the video if it is included into the materials. I think it is very important to let our, especially younger learners or the learners who are in middle school, they like making things with their hands, and that is something that may be interesting for them. And if, for example, you are studying or covering the material related to music, it won't hurt anyone if you suggest that they listen to the music instrument song, or, for example, if you provide flashcards there, and just let them listen to someone speaking about how they feel about music. And eventually, here, once they have done all the things, there's a game, there's a song, there are flashcards, and they looked at the words, and we have a thick notebook. It's like a reference notebook, but we called it, to be more inspiring, Mr. Brain Twister. So it was their task to write the words into Mr. Brain Twister, and then we could compare how many words they have written out. And they are always awarded for this work, and younger learners like to be awarded. And after they have done that, there's also an instruction here on YouTube on how to make the musical instrument. And you know, I'm now thinking again about the school curriculum. It was back in 1995, maybe. I was at a wonderful seminar, and the speaker said, it's not about covering the school curriculum. I know how important that is, but especially for English language teachers, you know, it's more important what the students learn, and not how much they just cover in the textbook. So our main aim is communication, and if learners use the language to speak, and they create and they love the language, that is the aim that we achieve, that we have to achieve. I think it's often the case that we try to teach them everything, but maybe if they don't learn everything that we want them to, the most important thing is to inspire them. So if they still have a black spot somewhere, they will have this desire to learn and feel it with something inspiring. No, I get it from one of my students. When I once met them, they finished school, and we met them 3 years afterwards. And I said, you know, I was always so tired because I spent so much time, and now you don't have English at your university. So I feel I was not doing the right thing. I could have been doing less. And one boy said, no, he was horrified. And he said, no, you were doing the right things. You taught me to love the language. And, you know, I think that's the main thing that is important. So now we are in a lot of stress. And if you have this a priority, making it interesting, it will be easier for you as well. You will be more motivated if your learners are. And then, for example, your students create the musical instruments, is just one example, and then they can make short videos. They may not record themselves, they may record their musical instruments and how they make sounds and their speech, and you will hear what they have produced. Isn't it amazing? They can record an audio or a video. Now I'd like to say a Google Class doesn't work like Zoom in a way that Zoom is a virtual classroom where all the students are at the same time and you can see them. You cannot see all your students in a Google Classroom because they can get there at the time they find most useful. As for my school, students are in the Google Classroom for every subject. So they choose, they prioritize, and they choose when they want to do this or that subject first, then next. So it's also flexibility. Yes, Google Meet is also possible, yes. You can combine, for example, work in Google Classroom, and then you can make sessions for your students in Google Meet where they can ask you questions, or where you can just explain something to them if you feel like that. One option that you can do there is making mutual presentations. You can create a PowerPoint presentation from the assignment, from the lesson where you are creating an assignment, or you can create a PowerPoint presentation from your mailbox account. And once you attach the PowerPoint presentation in your assignment, it is available to your students, and they all can invest in it. Like, for example, if you work with adjectives and you want the adjectives, you want to practice the comparative and the superlative degree of adjectives, you can create an example. I always give an example on the first slide, and then students add their own slides, and thus create a wonderful resource for you to practice. And then once, for example, if you have 10 to 13 students in your class, you have 10 to 13 slides with different adjectives. You may ask them not to repeat so they could see who does what. And then they write their names here, and you know who has done the task. You can see who hasn't, and you can motivate them to add their own slides. And then you may ask students to write sentences and compare, and they can write in their Mr. Brain Twister or in an exercise book and take a picture and attach it if you feel like that. Or you can ask them to record an audio and attach in the Google Classroom. That is the superlative degree of adjectives, my example. And then the students come up with their pictures, and it's I used to create all these resources myself, and it took me a lot of time. When students do it, all that I need to do is to give them an example, and that is just one slide. The rest, 10 to 13 slides are made by students, and you can use different slides, different PowerPoint presentations with different classes later. Another thing that we can do with Google Classroom is provide assessment. That is about tests. First I called them tests, then I started calling them quizzes. Here from your mailbox, you also again go to this icon with the dots, and you choose the forms. That is the Google Forms. Thank you. You can see the option with a plus. Here, everything you want to create has a plus. So you click the button, and then you have a new form. Here you can see the options of what your tasks may be. It can be just a question where they can write a short answer. Then you can take more space where they have to write an abstract or a paragraph. You can have one of the list from the list. You can also give them a task where they have to choose several correct options from the list, or maybe something related to the preferences of the character they read about, or something about them. Then they can grade something on a scale from 1 to 5 or 1 to 10, for example. You can also include a picture here, or make the words jumbled so they could unjumble a wide variety of tasks. So after you have created question 1, then, sorry, I will return. Here again, there is a plus icon, and you click it, and you have question 2. When you start, you can see a question without the heading. So number 1, I always ask them to write their name, so I could easily see who answered this or that question. And then when you create this form automatically is saved on your Google Drive. And when you go there, you can see the answers of the students. I see the list of students, and here I have the responses, 12 responses here. And I can see these responses as in diagrams. That is a general analytical data, which also comes in an Excel table if you like it more. Or you can also see the individual responses of the students. We will hopefully see here. As for the feedback, it's also good because it's not only about you giving feedback to students, it's about students giving feedback to you too. And again, you can create the forms following the same steps. This is the form where you ask the questions. You can also see the answers, 13 answers here. What do I include in the feedback form? I include questions like, how much time did you need to complete the task? How interesting was the topic for you? How interesting was the lesson for you on the scale from 1 to 10? How difficult was the lesson? Easy, medium, or hard? Which tasks or questions in the test were the most challenging? What was the most interesting part for you? Which topics would you like to discuss in the coming lessons? You have created the form, and it is also saved on your Google Drive, just like the quiz form. And you can see the data on all the students. You can analyze the Excel table, and you can also, for some reason I did not save that, but you can also see, I will show you once you click the answers, it will say individual responses, and you can see individual learners and how they responded, everything. You can also, students can give their feedback in comments, and they have 2 ways of giving it. Right after the task or the assignment and the attachments, they can ask questions. You can respond to these questions, or you can praise the students or encourage them more, or it can be a private question. If the student doesn't want to ask a question in person, then you get a notification in your email box that one of your students left a personal commentary in some certain course. Then you just follow the link, and if you see that is the 5th former and she's asking me a question in English, sometimes there may be very many mistakes, but if I understand what the student wants to ask me, I do not correct, I respond, because that is real communication to me. Sometimes it may be their task to find some certain links, and you can see the students using the commentary section to share what they have found, what they want to share with others. If you are studying the regular content in your from your students' books and workbooks, students may find something else as an extra related to what you are covering there, and it will show you how they relate to what they are learning right now. You can learn more about your students by using all kinds of quizzes, like personality quizzes from National Geographic for Kids. Like, for example, what ice cream flavor are you? What superpowers should you have? What musical instrument are you? Or other personality quizzes. You know what is interesting? When I was creating a feedback form after they have done some quizzes, I asked them about which superpower they would like to have and why. And most of the students responded would like to have the power to stop the time, because we don't have enough time to do everything. I think that is important for a teacher to understand these things. It's not only us who are tired and who wish we could do something for ourselves. So are our students. So we have to make learning a little more enjoyable, and teaching as well. All these quizzes are free. All these quizzes are free, yes. Other things that you can use with young learners . I know that it should be more challenging with young learners. Now, you can use the World of Fun, where you can use flashcards and different fun activities. In primary school, our topics are interconnected. They are practically the same: family and friends and colors. And you help me. For those who are worrying about the recordings, you will get them in 2-3 days after the webinar. That is what I remember from yesterday's wonderful webinar. You can get the materials at cambridgeenglish.org. Plenty of materials, fun activities and more serious tasks. I know that we all like some grammar tasks and some reading tasks. You can also use English Profile.org. That is a wonderful resource for words, where to let students and us teachers understand at which level, which meaning the word has, and play with that. And one last thing, just to remind ourselves that technology has made learning easy, interactive, and interesting. You know, I am a student, a postgraduate student. It so happened. And now we are at a distance learning mode as well. And I discovered that it's very stressful because the university is not very well prepared, just like all of us. And it's a lot of stress because we have the deadlines and the due dates, and it feels like technology is not always easy, interactive, and interesting. It can be stressful. So I just want to inspire you. This is an amazing thing. We have new opportunities. Why not use them? Just feeling excited. And we have a lot of time ahead to cover all the curriculum. I think I'm now open to questions. I'm studying pedagogy. That's my cup of cake, cup of tea. Thank you. Thank you. Well, if you have questions afterwards, you can send me an email and ask me questions, and I can share the materials and open up access to the courses that I have developed. I'm really grateful to you for being here. I hope that was useful for you. I missed that. The speaking skills. The speaking skills are amazing. You can create PowerPoint presentations, the timed PowerPoint presentations if we speak about older students, and they just record and send them, attach them there. Depending on which topic you want to depending on which topic you want to develop, speaking is possible. Get in touch with me. I will tell you. I will share the experience. Do we have more questions? Can students see each other's answers in Google Classroom? It depends on the task. If it is a mutual PowerPoint presentation, yes. If it is the comments under the assignment, yes. If it is private comments, no. It depends on your choices and their choices.